Hey, Burke!
Hey, Brian!
I'm kind of bored.
Me too.
Man, if only I had something to do at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. Michelle, can you help us out?
I got something for you guys.
Yeah.
You can come right over to our new Twitch channel, Get Dunked On Podcast, where we are all going to hang out and chat while we play video games.
I love them video games. Cortana!
And of course, that must cost a high fee, don't it?
No, this is the best part. You are all welcome to attend for absolutely nothing.
Woohoo!
Can I join?
No.
What about me?
Absolutely.
All right!
For more information, you should go over to getdunkedonpodcast.com. Hello, everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
Another tutty but folks stuck in the road.
Oh, man.
Green Day was on earlier. What can I say?
Wow.
Maybe not Green Day. I mean,
Ooh.
maybe you should just, wake me up when September ends. Maybe that'll be the best way to do this.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Touche, salesman.
So, yeah, I would be okay if you wake me up when August or whatever month this is, September ends. With the kind of week I've had, / computer build from hell. Dear Lord. So I've built, I don't know, quite a few computers in my day. And this one, I'm building a network attached storage NAS for nerds out there. Running on Linux. Some awesome stuff. I was really excited. I was going to have like 10 to 12 terabytes of space. Totally nerding out on this thing. So I get on Amazon.com, order a bunch of stuff, have it shipped to my house, and get it all ready to go this Saturday, and I ordered the wrong shit.
Oh, shit.
Like, as in...
Like how bad?
So I ordered this beautiful kind of small form factor case that fits a mini ITX motherboard. I bought a micro ATX board. So that was out. That was strike one because they're completely different sizes by inches. Strike two, I bought the wrong processor. So the processor wouldn't fit in the board either board that I bought, the wrong board and the board. So I had to send that back. Strike three, because I bought the wrong board, was the memory I bought didn't fit. So here I am going, the fuck are you doing? Like,
who ordered this?
I was like, what?
Was it you?
Yeah, it was me. I was apparently high or something on something. Man, I was just... So anyway, so I was like, okay, so I sent everything back. All right, whatever. Got the right stuff, ordered it. Well, then... So I finally get my last piece in today, but we'll get to that, which was the motherboard, obviously the most important piece. But before that, I was like, okay, well, I got the case and I knew I'd probably have to order some new stuff, so I looked at it, so I ordered some more fans. So I go to Amazon, hit buy, forget to ship it to my house, ship it to Craig's house.
I look in my mailbox and I'm like, I have computer fans. I don't remember ordering these.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? So not only do I not have fans for my computer right now, I get the motherboard in it, and I'm like, oh yes, it's finally here. I can deal without the fans. I can at least get everything working, get everything set up. Plug in the motherboard, get the custom, all this blah 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 bullshit set up. Push the power button, red light, and red lights are not good. Just so you know, I diagnose this whole thing. Turns out the motherboard's bad.
Oh no.
Well, I think the motherboard's bad. I still have a few things I can test, like strip parts out of other computers and whatnot, but that takes a lot of effort. So yeah, this has been the computer build from hell.
And this was started off as a passion project for you, right?
Yeah, it's something that I don't really need because I have data everywhere. It was just one of those. I really think this would be awesome. It would offload some of the CPU power from my main computer to another one. I could stick it upstairs, don't have to worry about it, and that's why, hence all the fans, it needs to be cooled better. But no, it's literally like dragged out a whole week, and I'm super frustrated with it right now.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, but anyways, it's kind of funny. So I'm just waiting for something else to go wrong at this point. It's gonna blow up.
Well, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I've ever had a project that went like that awry where it seemed like every step something was going wrong.
Like I've had times when I've gotten computer parts and there's like one or two like a small component that's broken. I'm like, okay, I can send this piece of memory back or something. But like having just one after the other, me like not paying attention when ordering, the motherboard breaking, me sending fans to wrong states,
I gotta be honest with you. I've had some shipping issues in the past, but I've never sent anything to the wrong house. Like that's a whole other level.
Yeah. I know. I know exactly what I did. I went back, to the cart to pretty much make sure. I was like, okay, yeah, that is what I need. Hit okay, that's it. Click, 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 click. But when I went back to the cart, it probably defaulted back to Craig's address for some reason instead of my own. Yeah, I was like, okay, this is great.
The only time I've ever shipped something to the wrong address, it was no big deal because it was back in the day and it shipped to my parents' address and we lived in the same state at the time. So I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I did that before once where I shipped something to my parents' house, but they were only like 40 minutes away, so I just went home and picked it up.
Yeah, that's what I did. It's when you and I lived in Lansing, Brian, so I drove about an hour back, picked it up, and went on with my merry day.
Just made a day of it.
So I kind of have another kind of funny shipping story since we're kind of on that. I know that's not going to be our main topic for the day, but it's funny. So when my sister-in-law got pregnant for the first time, I think her parents or someone bought her a stroller, really nice stroller, as a baby gift. But they didn't want them knowing until like the baby was there or something like that. So they sent it to my parents' house. And Emily and I had just gotten married. So my mom knew, my dad didn't, and he got so excited because he thought we were going to have kids.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So, needless to say, if Emily and I ever decide to have kids, we're sending the stroller to their house.
Oh, man.
There's a stroller that came here.
So anyways, yeah, that's that.
He just opening it up, honey.
I'm gonna send the Batman stroller to your parents' house just for the fun of it. See what happens.
Oh, geez.
You're gonna have to. I'm gonna tell you though later, but you have to get over there and send it back. It was like $300.
No, I gotta tell you, talking about shipping things, I've never shipped anything to the wrong address, but I will say that I have had one online shopping like issue in my life, and that was something. I'm sorry. It's something that really made me laugh because it was something monogrammed or more importantly, like personalized, right? So I'm a avid Lions fan. I watch the Lions. I know I'm from Michigan, so I kind of have to be. But at the same time, I love it. I watch it every year. So it was just a good time. Everything was all set to go for the season. And my girlfriend says, hey, for your birthday, I got you a Lions jersey. A Lions jersey with your name on the back of it because I didn't want to do a specific player because they change hands too quickly. So I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome. It comes in the mail. I open it up and on the back, my last name is Schultz. And on the back, it's Schultz, like completely butchered on the spelling. And I'm like, I don't know who the hell this Schultz guy is, but she's gonna be pissed. I have his jersey, and she's like, and the look on her face, like she was so like angry and like heartbroken that like it had come wrong for my birthday or whatever. And I'm like, no, really, it's great. I mean, we were able to get exchange and stuff, but it was just one of those things where like it was hilarious.
Was it typed correctly? Like when
it was on their end. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't something where it had been typed incorrectly.
No, went back and checked the email on the initial order. It was spelled correctly on the order, and they had just screwed it up somewhere in the manufacturing process. And
okay, that's good. So it's on them. You didn't have to pay for a replacement.
No, not $1.
Perfect.
Not $1.
That's perfect. I didn't have that. I did have a personalization thing that was kind of funny. I've got there's gonna be like 6 people in the world that remember this, that listen to this podcast. There's a hockey team called the Flint Generals, that we used to go watch. That was the like very low, for baseball fans, it'd be like extremely low A-ball type stuff, like really minor league hockey. You know, it's just kind of local hockey. It's just above like local high school hockey, really. But it's a whole, you know, they've got a whole thing, and they're professional players and whatnot. And I was obsessed with them when I was a kid because, I mean, hockey was my first love in terms of sports. And it may be my first love in general, like the first thing I was actively like passionate about, where I wasn't like just a kid, like being passionate about something, where I was kind of more involved than I really like the Ninja Turtles because punch, you know. So we went through and got a personalized Flint Generals hockey jersey for myself. We got a sweater for it, and my wife Sarah wore it to a Halloween thing for work. She worked at a movie theater, 5-6 years ago, or whatever it was, and she wore it there. And the whole day, people were asking if her dad played for the Flint Generals, and I just thought that was kind of funny. It was just a complete miscommunication of it, but.
I mean, they were big,
giggled at
like
it.
the Flint Generals were pretty big back in the day. I mean, that and the Vipers were like the, you know, like as far as like I want to call them bargain brand hockey teams for Michigan.
Yeah.
They were very popular. So for Burke, just so you know, hockey is very big here. And,
What's hockey?
Super. Exactly. I know nothing can freeze down there. You guys don't even get ice in your cups, I don't think.
Yeah, Brian was talking about wearing a jacket earlier. I was like, I wear those 2 days a year.
I'm still just imagining Burke going to like his refrigerator has like the ice and the water that he can pop out of it, and he goes to the ice and he's like, these are both just water. I've never known anything else.
One of them's room temperature, the other one is boiling. Like the only two settings on his fridge.
So guys, do you know what the easiest way for me to experience cold weather and iced over lakes is?
No, what is it?
Virtual reality.
Only through the virtual world.
Virtual reality.
That segue,
and
though.
the warm embrace of a woman. I mean,
what?
Oh. But anyways, so obviously that's going to be our topic for the day is virtual reality. So I kind of wanted to preface this whole conversation, and I know we've talked about it a little bit, is we have not touched VR at all, besides kind of hearing about it, hearing the hype, you know, seeing stuff like Google Cardboard, all that stuff, and we don't know. We've never experienced it ourselves, so we're kind of leading this whole conversation like, what are we expecting out of VR? So I don't really want to start, so I'm going to let Brian answer that question. What do you want out of VR?
Yeah, we were really wanting to get our thoughts out there beforehand so we could come back later once we have all tried virtual reality in the next year and a half, whatever it might be. We really wanted to come back and be able to see, okay, this is what we were talking about. This is what we thought we were going to get, and this is what we did get. Now, is this going to be above or below our expectations? Is it going to be exactly where we're at? We really kind of wanted to figure that out.
So talking about VR, I have not used it myself, as we said before, but I have watched some videos on it. I've watched Let's Plays of people using VR, and after watching all that, I have to say at this moment in time, I'm underwhelmed. I don't think that VR is a bad thing by any stretch, and I think that in the future it has potential to be something super cool. For those of you who, and Burke, you read, I know you and Craig for sure, but I don't know if Michelle has Ready Player One. Have you guys read that?
I just read that a couple months ago.
Yeah, we've all read it, yeah.
Okay, cool. So for those of you at home who have not, Ready Player One is basically takes place for the most part in a virtual reality world, and that seems cool to me. And if it's going in that direction, that's awesome. Some of the concepts of what they're talking about, what they're going to do with VR, whether it be live concerts or sitting in that kind of thing, that's awesome. But at this stage in time, I don't think it's there yet. I think we still got another 5 to 10 years before this thing gets, I'm going to call it fixed. Because I don't know. I'm just very underwhelmed with my initial impressions. I think one of the best examples of somebody that I've seen playing it that that somebody I like to watch play games is like the Game Grumps. I watched them recently do a VR thing, and I've seen them do Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes. That was fun. But then I watched them do like some sort of shooter game, and my God, I was looking at it going, wow, you look silly doing it. Like the mechanics don't seem that tight. None of it really looks to me. I don't know. I'm just not there yet.
No, I'm kind of there with you. I've watched I guess this channel on YouTube called Node. It's from the guys who do Corridor Digital. Don't know if any of y'all have heard of them, but they do some awesome special effects. But their Node channel, they play VR and they do a bunch of other stuff. But I was excuse me, just before this, I was watching one of their virtual realities. I think it was called VR Sniper. It was one of the first PvP actual virtual reality games. It is the best one I've seen. But it's literally like taking a step back and going from, Xbox and PC and all these PlayStation 4s where the graphics are now and going back in time about 15 years. And then putting graphics in, going back to almost pre-Halo 1, Halo CE graphics. And then that's where you're playing in this virtual reality. Granted, you're playing in virtual reality, so you're looking through it. I'm assuming that's awesome, but I'm underwhelmed just watching it in a kind of a 2D role.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that in the 2D role, and also even the most like complex versions of it that I've seen so far are very polygonal and it's like very I don't want to use PS1 as an example, but kind of more like I think some of the best examples of VR that I've seen as far as what people have been able to do with it is like the original Star Fox. Like think about like that. That to me like is like some of the most fluid gameplay. But on the flip side of it, you get these other ones that you're like, oh well, now you can go through this other game that you already know, and when you go through it, it doesn't look quite right. I don't know how else to put it other than it's got kind of a fisheye lens to it all. Just things are just slightly not right, and it takes me out of the immersion on it. Granted, I could put one of these things on my face and completely counteract this all and tell you guys like, oh, I was so wrong. But from what I've seen, I'm just underwhelmed.
Yeah, and watching their controls, like the weird joystick they have in one hand, maybe a little glove in the other, and and they're trying to like to actually reload a gun. It's pretty cool. You have to push a button, you have to get a clip off your belt and put it in, but it just looks so clunky.
Yes.
Like it's not smooth. I mean, it could be smooth, but it seems like them trying to actually do the motion with not having a plastic gun instead in their hand or something like that. It just looks completely awful and like a pain almost.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the early Wii in it, where it's like when the Wii first came out, and how it's like, guess what? You're really bowling, and it's like, yeah, you are, but you're not. Like there's a lot of.
I can get a strike by flicking my wrist.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is, Burke. And I'm glad that you saw the same thing, and I'm not alone in that, because I was really afraid that I was going to say this and then get crucified, during this podcast on it. But but I do see the potential in it, and more importantly, the thing that I would say is my big draw to it is the future of being able to attend concerts or go through museums or like that kind of thing with it, where it's like real life application of like, hey, I don't have the funds to go to Italy or to go to France and go through the Louvre, but I can put on my VR and go through the Louvre.
And that was going to be one of my big main points here that I was wanting to say is the expectation for me, the expectation of it being there today. No, I wasn't expecting it to be there today where I put it on and I go, whoa, I'm in the Matrix, and it looks real. The tech hasn't caught up to be able to graphically output that type of system yet. It just isn't there. And so I'm not expecting it to be there. I'm expecting the graphics to catch up in about, I would say, 5 to 7 years to where they might be ish on par with what you're gaming with in that current day. So like 2023, 2025 roughly is when you're going to be like, okay, the fidelity of the image I'm seeing here and the fidelity you would see on the actual monitor, if you were just like, hey, I'm just going to play like a standard game, might be roughly the same. I think the monitor's always going to have an up on VR because it doesn't take much processing power to splat something on a 2D image, recreating something around you in 3D is where it's going to be a lot more consuming in the processing power and of your computer in general. So it's never going to be fully there, but I think in that time frame, in the next 5 to 7 years here, you're going to see it catch up drastically to that type of stage. And that's what I'm expecting in that time frame is to kind of what you're talking about, Brian. There's going to be a lot more virtual tours. You're going to be able to head out and go into places you'd never been before.
Into the heart. Like the magic school bus is going to be
like
real.
Magic School.
Real life Mrs.
Yes.
Frizzle.
Yes.
you're going to be able to do stuff like that. And I think for the gaming side of things, until you kind of put yourself on what I would consider like that track, like an omnitrack or whatever you want to call it, where you're going in a direction type thing, it's going to be really tough where you're walking around with a wired headset, wired controllers potentially as well in your hand, even if it's like the two-fisted ones where you've got your separate hands and it's kind of tracking hand motion. It's going to be clunky. Things are going to be very clunky at the beginning, but they need to go in the direction of actually doing it and producing things for other people to jump onto it and go. And then the other companies that are going through and that would create the tech that would make this better, they need to be invested first. We're like, okay, everybody else is getting into this. Now we're basically all contributing to this to make this tech even better and better and better throughout. So it's just going to take that. It's going to take, the Xbox One Scorpio, the PS4 View, or not View, whatever it's called. It's going to take all these companies going into it, hopefully not failing, and all getting in and going, okay, now everybody's getting into this. We need to make games so we can keep up with the game producers, like the other gaming companies. We need to keep up with them. We either need to make the tech, or we need to make the games, or we need to be in this, because this is where it's going. That's what it's going to take to kind of get this moving along.
Well, and the thing is that I predict, as you said, the movement thing is going to be an issue. So I imagine like the tours would be more like Pokemon Snap, where you're on a rail, and it's really, you're just essentially like, you're going to go along this rail, and you can just kind of turn your head and like see the exhibits, and maybe like click A on a Xbox One controller, and it'll be like, this is a Rembrandt. It was made in 1940, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I would even imagine that the movement early on, like that, wouldn't even be necessarily on a rail. It would be, you've got a controller in your hand, and you push that, and that's going to be your walk. Whichever way you're walking type thing, where you're holding up on a thumbstick, it's going to walk that way, and you can move your head and kind of look around. I'm not going to go into specifics of how the controller works, but it'd be something along those lines where you've got a handset on with you, and you're moving around that way.
Your
and
head
it wouldn't
would be
necessarily
the right
be a
stick,
rail.
essentially.
I'm not saying there wouldn't be any rails to going through these things, because they could do it something where they actually have, some places could have like a literal rail system where you're controlling a camera and looking around type thing. Like they could do that. Or like at a concert, what you're talking about, they could have these a ton of cameras all hanging down from a ceiling or something like that. Like, oh, you're the special VR person. You get to go through and look through this camera and watch this concert. And, for VIP cost, you get to actually control the camera and look where you want to look.
Lighting and just keep flashing. The singer's like, damn it, I just can't see. No, but I totally agree with you, man. Like, I can see that happening. The only thing that I will say is, I don't know, have you guys heard about the issue with Oculus versus, what's the other one, the big one right now?
HTC Vive.
Vive, that's it. Is it Vive or Vive? Vive.
VIVE, Vive.
VIVE, okay. Have you heard about the issues with that?
I have not.
No.
So basically what's been happening, and this is a gross, very, very gross simplification of it, but basically imagine I'm a developer, and I'm like, hey, I made Roller Coaster the game, right? Oculus is saying, great, I'm going to buy this game and get the exclusive rights to it, and you cannot produce it or let it go out to the Vive. And so the developer is like, okay, well, it says this, oh wait, tons of cash, great, I'm in. And it's making sure that it's kind of dividing the market as to like, okay, Oculus has Oculus games, Vive has everything games, and it's kind of already trying to create like a console war before the consoles have gotten off the ground. And it's apparently killing sales in quite a big way. Because people are buying these Vives, which are apparently, as I said, I know nothing about it, but supposedly they're slightly better than the Oculus in some ways, and they don't have any games for it because Oculus keeps sniping all these developers because they're just throwing Facebook money at it.
Yep.
It's very possible, but I mean, you see that in a lot of business deals.
For sure,
it's not
but
unexpected.
not in an emerging.
Go capitalism.
Yeah, well, it's an emerging industry though. It's like, my thing is that it's like having an ember and and you're sitting there and you're trying to blow on the ember, going ignite, 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 and yet at the same time, you have another guy going, it's my fire, it's mine, and trying to like suffocate it. And that's my thing that I'm afraid of, is that if we don't have developers developing for multiple systems and trying to get like, hey, maybe you all want to buy some sort of VR, whether it be my brand or their brand, but let's get the VR off the ground and then we can worry about you know.
You're not going to get that, obviously. Going back to one of your books that you really like, the Console Wars. That's not going to necessarily, because you're going to have one company that's going to take over and try and hold on to absolutely everything. That's just how it's going to be. And I think almost every emerging market is that exactly. There's something going on where one company is trying to take over before the other company does, and because they don't care if the whole market kind of doesn't crash but doesn't fully evolve, because if they have the fully unevolved completely to them, it's better than having a fully evolved where they only get 25%.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that from a sort of a business side of things, but at the same time, even in that book, Nintendo understood that the market was sensitive, and that's why in the early parts of it, they were trying to control it to kind of like, be the one to ignite it, because they were the only ones really in the business at the time. But anyway, I digress. That's my only thing that I had heard, and I wanted to make sure to throw that out there. But so, Craig, are you on the opinion that this is a 5-year thing, a 10-year thing?
5 to 7 years before it turns into something substantial, I would say.
Okay, so in other words,
I'm in agreement with Craig. I think I give it another 5 years. We're in the very, of course. Then again, the way technology is moving, it could be out faster than that. But I'd say 5 years is probably my good estimate, just because it does have a lot of potential. I mean, I can see schools using it, like seriously, do like the Magic School Bus. Like, imagine, this is what I'm kind of imagining like a class full of kids going, okay, and the teacher's controlling the motion, right? She goes, okay, this is the actual pyramids, what they look like today, and then boom, this is what they look, we think they look like thousands of years ago. And like the teacher, okay, look left, you see the Great Pyramid. Look right, you see the remains of where the Nile River. It's like that would be awesome. Like, so I think it's got tons of applications. Are we there yet? No, we're not. 5 years out, oh yeah. I think we're going to be seeing applications like that in 5 years. Because, I mean, it's been around, it's been in people's imaginations for hundreds of years. Well, maybe not hundreds of years, but years. And, they've used it for, maybe not in virtual reality like we're thinking now, where you actually wear something on your head.
Mm-hmm.
But, like think about flight simulators that they use in military and whatnot, where, it was projected on a 2D screen, but, the whole thing moved. I mean, that could be, a virtual reality.
Oh yeah.
In a way, and so now it's just getting more and more compact, and now we can wear it on our head, so that we can actually have full 3D motion with our heads. Which I think that, because we've been progressing towards that since I guess some sci-fi concept, who knows how long ago. Which I'm sure we'll find out in the quiz, whoever wrote that.
There you go, right?
But I think that's gonna be awesome, just because out of training and how well it can help people perform better, how immersive it can be, just because of that fact. Maybe not video game wise for another 10 years, but real world application, I think it's gonna blow up.
I hope Burke is right, because as far as real-world applications, I'm really excited about VR. The idea that I can go places that I probably wouldn't get to go otherwise is extremely appealing. However, I might be alone in this, but I am not excited for it in any context for video games at all.
Really?
Yeah, I am just absolutely terrified that it's gonna become like the only way to play video games, and I don't want that at all.
Can I ask why?
Because I think first of all, I think it excludes too many people, especially if it is like you have to move around setup, just even the same way that motion gaming has. Like, there are ways that motion gaming has helped people. I've seen it used in physical therapy, but on the flip side of that, there's a lot of people who literally can't play games because they can't do the motions of them. And so that's part of it. And then just like, I don't want to have to strap myself, I mean, it could change, of course, but I don't want to have to strap myself into a headset to play a game. Like, I don't want it to kill games the way they are. fairly certain that 25 years from now, that's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, I could see as you said, 25 years from now, like the primary way to play games is to put on your virtual reality helmet, or whatever. But
regardless of who's going to be able to play, if that ends up being the hot way of playing, most people are going to end up doing that. Most companies will cater toward that. I think you'll have your companies that will make games that are made for 2D screens or for, controllers in your hand. You're looking at a screen, whether it's 3 inches from your face and on a headset, or it's on a, like a TV that we're used to looking at now. You're still going to have that, but I could definitely see it going towards, you got to put this on if you want to play the new quote AAA titles. But I have a feeling, market's going to decide that if everybody decides they hate that, or if there's enough people excluded, market will kind of dictate like, okay, it's not going to work. You have to create other things as well. And I think that will be there if it needs to be. But I can see it going both ways, but still working.
Yeah, I want it to be an option. I don't want it to be the norm.
Yeah, and I could see it being the norm. And it'd be unfortunate for those that couldn't play it. But if that's the way they're making money, then that's going to be the way they're going to do it.
I think eventually they'll get the technology to where everyone can play it. Because I've seen one of my good friends down here, he lost his arm in an accident. The kid can kick my ass in Call of Duty any day, playing one-handed, with his feet, with his little stub of an arm or anything, and it's amazing. And that's just with a standard controller. So I think, if that's the case with VR and how we're starting to learn how the mind works and all this, and how we can send signals with different tiny little muscles, they could make controllers for anyone. I don't necessarily think you have to have like the whole motion room to control, because think about just the alternate reality of Ready Player One. Most of those people, the only thing they had was a computer and a headset and a controller. Right?
Yeah, and that wouldn't be so bad. I just, I don't want it to be you strap yourself into a headset and have to go into this special room so that you can do the full motion of things in the game to play the game.
I think we're so far out from that being the norm. Like your 20 to 25 years, I think, would be the earliest that would happen. I'm not saying that technology wouldn't be there, but I think the market would be slow to get there as the norm. So I don't think you have anything to worry about.
For someone to have a VR room, like a VR room in their own home, like
I want one.
Could you? Okay, but
I want one.
The average person is not going to be able to afford an extra room in their house just to have VR. You know what I mean? Like that's like, as you said, 20, 25 years would be like, that is very, very short. I think that would, in reality, it's like a 50-year like goal if that were really to be a thing.
And another thing I do look forward to in virtual reality, which is a virtual reality experience I'm hoping to have in the next year or so, and is one of the only virtual reality videos I've watched, is a virtual reality roller coaster.
Oh, yes.
That would be
great.
fun.
I can get sick in my own home.
Yes.
I've got a personalized puke bucket.
You go to an amusement park and you get on an actual coaster, but you're strapped into a VR headset, so you don't know what's going to happen on the coaster. So you're still riding you're still riding a physical ride, but what you're seeing is the VR video.
So basically, you could see yourself like on a moment where, let's say, you're going over a hill and you get that little bit of weightlessness feeling. They could have the VR tell you are literally off the tracks, like the cart has fallen off the tracks and you're free falling, and then you land on the next little section and keep going.
Yeah, like basically the video I saw was like you were like in a ship, like, firing on a city, basically. So like when the ship would go down, that's when you were going on a hill for like, but you didn't know it until the ship, started dive bombing, and then all of a sudden you're going down the hill of the roller coaster.
No, see, I now.
Oh, that's cool.
And I love roller coasters, and they're going okay, who can make it bigger and faster? But now it's like, okay, who can make it more surprising with a VR video?
Oh my gosh, I could see so many people getting sick, because half the reason I don't get sick is because I know what's coming and I can lean into it. Going all of a sudden, you're just like, hey, now I'm going, and getting dragged.
But I think it would be so fun, because it wouldn't have to necessarily be the biggest or fastest roller coaster. It would just have to be a fun experience.
Okay. For sure.
Time out. I'm going to stop you all right here. Has anyone here rode the Simpsons ride at Universal?
Negative.
No.
No. What Universal?
Florida.
No.
Okay. So long and short of it, it's a VR ride essentially. Like it's not you don't put a helmet on or whatever, but it's the same sort of concept of it. It's one of those ones where you don't actually like really move so much as the screen does it, and like the thing shakes unexpectedly, you know. So it's like when you're going down, like the whole thing tilts up, and at the same time it's showing you on the screen like, ooh, you're going down a super high thing. I have never in my life been more sick than when I used a VR like while actually moving as well. Like so that thought of what you just described, Michelle, literally just made me like throw up my mouth while you were describing it.
I never suffer from motion sickness, so I'm like kind of excited to see if something can like I don't want to get motion sickness, but I want to see if something can really like take me by surprise like that.
The VR thing that you're kind of talking about, Brian, I've been on those types, and those don't get me because I feel like you still have a little bit of an idea what's happening because you have your wits about you and you can still see. But man, I'm thinking about the one where you've got a headset over top of you and you literally can't see what's going on. Oh my gosh. Because that one can jerk you literally hundreds of feet down immediately, you know, comparatively to where the VR ride just kind of like shakes you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit different, you know. It basically puts you in a where you feel like you're in a little popcorn maker.
Yeah. But you still like because of what's on the screen, it still feels like you're doing it. And like I don't get motion sickness like normally, but in doing that, I get sick as a dog. Like it's unbelievable how sick I get, which is why like that thought of it's like I would basically, and this is, I know it's probably pretty gross, but like if I were to get sick on a ride at an actual like amusement park, like the person in the part next to me is like, oh, they must have splashed us with something. They can't see it. It's like, I'm so sorry. Like it would be a nightmare. It would be a nightmare for us.
Because you don't know
exactly. They're like, oh,
late.
it must have been a splash from the giant sea creature over there, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
That must be the big thing, is because you're talking about when you were saying you were in the VR thing there, it wasn't exactly like, to me that didn't feel real at all. Whenever I've done those, it feels completely fake to me when you're watching that and you're like, it doesn't give me the feeling of I'm going down a big incline or anything like that. They feel completely fake. It just feels like I'm being shaken. That's all it feels like to me.
Yeah, no, it's totally real to me.
What are the because Michelle's talking about how that's one of her things that she's hoping it goes to. What are the other applications? Burke, you brought up the schooling. What are some other applications, or specifically what applications in games do you see where it could be really cool to have full-on virtual reality? I mean, Michelle, would you see anything along those lines of where you could see like a full-on bodysuit room? This is the type of game I think it'd be fun to have that. Or Brian, do you have something along those lines, a game that you think would be really cool to have that full-on setup where your body is one-to-one motion with what you're trying to do?
I do. I mean, like, I think sports games would be fun like that. Especially for people who might not, go and join sports teams, but would like to feel like they're maybe part of one. Again, as long as it's like just an option and not the only thing available, like I think it'd be awesome. You could, you put on the bodysuit and go out and be part of a football team when you probably would never be part of a football team in your life.
For me, yeah, I would say that like the ideal situation would be something like, and keep this in mind, like an MMO. Like I think that would an MMO / like a Skyrim style. Could you imagine like if you were like in the Skyrim Oblivion world or whatever, but it's like a full on, but it's a full on MMO, and you're walking around and you're just like, hello, fellow traveler, and you could totally like you could actually D&D role play. But like for real, like when you have a sword, you literally have a sword in your hands, and it would be the coolest thing. Because when I remember seeing Skyward Sword, like the commercial or the E3 thing for that, and you see him like, you've always wanted to have a sword in your hand, and I'm like, yeah, and then they show me, then here it is, and I'm like, no, like that's not a sword in my hand.
Burke, did you ever have anything? Any thoughts?
No, I agree with Brian. I just want to go full immersion in a RPG world. And I think a lot of that love stems from Ready Player One. And yes, just being there and being that character, yes, I'm John in real life, but in my virtual reality I am Dwalin the dwarf.
Yeah.
Right?
So when you guys were reading Ready Player One, because don't get me wrong, I love the book, I thought it was awesome, but it didn't terrify you that literally every aspect of life revolved around that game.
Oh no, it was totally messed
And
up.
like if you screwed up in the game, like people would literally come and kill you.
No, it was. I mean, it was totally messed up, but at the same time, it was in in the context of our world. If that game existed in our world and was not like the dilapidated, like, you know, Mad Maxian future that they interpreted, then it would be totally tight.
I would love, yeah, I would love to be able to go to work as Bob in a VR world and get paid to be Bob.
That'd be fun.
Like seriously, yeah, that would be awesome.
And my thing that I was thinking of is kind of along the same lines of what Michelle was talking about. I thought the coolest thing in the world when I was thinking about like VR and having bodysuits and stuff like that, or even not even bodysuits, like if you just had a couple of monitors, you could do some of the games I was thinking of, is like playing goalie in hockey. Like that's an area where you don't even need a large amount of space.
What's hockey?
If you're playing goalie in hockey, in a hockey game, you could basically, I mean, there's a lot of times you would need to maybe leave the net and stuff like that, but for the majority of your gameplay, you're stuck in like a 5 by 5 foot little space, less than. You know, you got to go between the pipes, which is like 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet wide. But you could do a lot of that, and if you just had the sensors like on ankles, knees, waist, elbows, like basically major articulation points, you could really recreate yourself, you know, trying to defend a net that way. Another one would be like golf, Brian. You'd be able to really recreate a swing if they could go through and create like a way of doing that. Or for me, baseball. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do like outfield stuff because that's a lot of ground to cover without having like an Omni track, but you could do batting practice. You could bat. You could literally face major league hitters and see how you would fare. Like, could I even hit this guy? Nope. You'd get that answered real quick that I couldn't even touch this guy's fastball. So those are some of the like aspects that I thought were that you could really dive in. You got that headset on and you're watching just a fastball zip by at 99 miles an hour and you're realizing there's no way I would ever do this in real life.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think would be cool, which would be a difficult transition, I think, unless we found the right way to make it small enough, but like if you were like for a Zelda game, for example, you know, you play in third person without the VR, but then you switch to first person mode and you slip on the VR and then you're able to do what he would do in first person VR and then switch back. I think it'd be hard to make a smooth transition for it, but I think that would be really cool. I
feel like that'll probably be the first part of it anyway, is you'd play the main part of the game where it basically you just have the TV 3 inches away from your face. Is all it really is, and gives you a good depth of field, and then it's going to transition to moments of like full immersion, 1-to-1 action, where it's a sword fight, but you're really just literally sword fighting. You're just
playing baseball with Canada.
Yeah, like that's yeah, that's all you'd be doing type thing. I see it going there first in terms of when you start getting we're putting measurements on or putting little articulation points on everybody.
All right, guys. So Craig, since you're such in love with sports,
hi, that's me.
I actually have a question for you. I'm actually going out of order on my quiz, so if I come to it and stumble later, you'll know why.
Okay.
So, of course, everyone can answer. Everyone gets a chance. We're gonna have a quiz like that. And
feel free at home to keep track of your score and send us later what you got at getdunkedonpodcast.com.
So, Craig.
Yes.
I'm gonna make you go first.
Okay.
What is the first sport that will be broadcasted in VR?
Ugh. Wow. So they've already got a set sport that's going to broadcast in VR.
It's sometime this month.
What?
Yeah. Full 360 view.
What could it be? It's gonna have to be a smaller sport. I know I'm talking this out to other people, but I guess I'm gonna go with tennis.
It's got to be football.
I'm gonna go with golf.
Y'all are all wrong. This comes from the ever right source of Wikipedia, and it's chess.
Are you kidding me?
Second.
I'm not kidding.
What? First off, it's pretty generous calling it I mean, I know it technically is a sport, but at the same time, you know what I mean? It's like
I knew none of y'all would get that one.
but the thing is that really above football? Like,
yeah.
What?
How do you do football?
The same way they did the debates, where you have it like one seat at the stadium is a designated like camera ball, like, and that's just what it is. And so it's like you're really there at the game.
Well, it makes a lot more sense at a debate where you can be nearby and there's not so much other action around you. Like football's way too big
Well, that's the point.
to do that.
Yeah, man.
That's why I said tennis, because you could be, pretty nearby and still get a lot of the
Craig's
action.
point is that with football, Brian, you'd be able to see like the yards in front of you, but you wouldn't be able to see the end zones. You would miss like half of it if you couldn't move around.
Yeah, I would imagine that they wouldn't put him like right there in the front line. They take up a seat. I put them in the nosebleed so they're looking down over the whole thing. If you want a real good view, pay your money, go to the game, boys.
Well, yeah, definitely, and that's what I'm talking about. Is I don't think a lot of people would end up doing that for the football game if it's way up in
the
nosebleed section.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. What was the first town, or what was the first known town that was recreated in VR?
Ooh.
And if you want, I can give you some options.
Let's do it this way. Let's all answer first, and then if we all get it wrong, we can see if we want to do options after.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, Craig.
I'll go first always, and I'll just do New York City.
I'm gonna say Goldshire.
Los Angeles.
Okay, let's give you some options. Las Vegas, Nevada, Silicon Valley, California, San Jose, or Aspen, Colorado.
Silicon Valley.
Vegas, baby.
I'm gonna go with Aspen, Colorado, because that is the most random one on that list.
Yeah, it's Aspen, Colorado.
Come on, VR is being produced somewhere in Silicon Valley. They would go out there and test it there.
That's exactly why I threw that one in.
Jeez.
All right. And here is a question, I guess, that I'm hoping Brian will get. What is the VR device created by MomCorp in the show Futurama?
No. Okay.
Virtual robo-ality, the internet.
I'm gonna.
No, I'm changing my answer. The outer net.
Okay.
Oh my god. Like the actual VR thing that they used to get on the internet. I can see it now, and I can see all the episodes they did. I'm just gonna say the iPhone because that was another MomCorp thing that kind of had VR in it. So I'm just gonna go. Maybe that's what they were referring to.
Okay. Michelle?
I don't even have a guess. I barely watched any of this.
Okay. It was the iPhone.
Yeah, but it wasn't iPhone like iPhone. It wasn't like EYE.
EYE phone because they implanted it into your eyeball.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
It was making fun of Apple as well. Of
Yeah,
course.
it was hilarious. It was a great episode. Susan
Yes.
Boyle, come on now.
Yeah. All right. What was the first video game company to attempt VR?
I'm going to just go with Nintendo.
I'm gonna go with Nintendo as well.
Shit.
That's not a video game company.
Too, but I want to guess something else. I'm gonna go with Sega.
All good guesses, but it actually predates it. Atari.
Oh man, no kidding.
Boo!
What was the? Do you know the name of it?
So I said attempt. They didn't do well. Hold on, let me see if I can find it right quick. They bought the rights to. Oh dear lord, I can find it later and share it with y'all. But yeah, they attempted to buy the rights for some VR stuff.
Oh, okay.
It never went anywhere, unfortunately. So, all right. Question number 5. Along the lines of video games, what was the NES accessory worn over the hand that was released in 1989?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm going to go with the Power Glove.
Power Glove.
It's definitely the Power Glove.
All right. I threw an easy one in there for y'all.
We all get a
You're
softball.
All right.
Craig's on the board!
Slow pitch, baby.
All right. So, what is the first major box office hit film, movie, whatever, that featured VR?
God, I hate going first.
It's tough, right?
This is the first time I've gone first. I usually go last and I still lose. Crap. Let's it's not gonna be right, but The Matrix.
I'm gonna go with it's not right because it's Tron.
Good guess, but no. I'll give you that hint, Michelle.
that
was actually my-
you narrowed it
that was
down
my
to still
guess.
999 billion other movies other
I
than
know,
Tron.
right?
Oh God, this isn't right either. But The Wiz.
It was actually Total Recall.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty
Total
cool.
Recall. Yep. There was actually one movie before that. Well, there was technically two, but one, I guess, not Western, like cowboy movie, but it was called Brainstorm with Christopher Walken. But that one only made like 10 million. So this one was quite, obviously. Yeah, my goodness, can't talk. Total Recall grossed quite a bit more than 10 million.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
it'd been a lot bigger movie to pick out of. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. What was Sega's virtual reality called that they released in 1991?
Go ahead, Craig. Lead us off, buddy.
The Sega iPhone.
Oh God, I want to say Sega Net.
I vaguely remember this. I thought it was just called like Sega Virtual Reality. Like it was just a straightforward name. I thought.
Bing, 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 bing.
Wow.
Sega VR.
Yeah, like they were so. I vaguely remember it. They
Yep.
were so uncreative with it. Like,
I'm vaguely going to punch you in the face, just to let you know.
Vaguely.
All right, here's another one that was actually referenced earlier by Brian.
Uh-oh.
So, what VR company does Facebook own?
Oh, okay.
Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift.
All right, I'm not even going to let Michelle answer. I'm just giving her the point. All right.
She said Vive, I heard
Yep.
I heard it too. All right.
She said Magic School Bus.
All right. And here's another, I'm hoping, easy one. What was the code name for the PlayStation VR?
Oh my gosh. PlayStation. It's not that. Screw it. PlayStation View.
PlayStation. It's like a planet name, like Neptune. Sure. Slay me some fish.
This isn't right, but PlayStation Move is the only thing I could think of.
All right. I'll give everyone a hint, and the first one to yell it out will get a point. The Matrix.
Neo.
All right, no one gets the point.
Yay!
Oh, it was Morpheus.
Oh, man, guys. Figured that one would be an easy one. All right.
I don't remember that at all, man.
All right, this one I don't think anyone will get, but it's kind of ironic with the last question. There's your first hint. The Doctor Who episode, The Deadly Assassin, or Serial as they called it, first broadcast in 1976, introduced a dreamlike computer-generated reality, known as what? I was trying to help Craig win this quiz, because I know he's never won one, so I threw him some bones.
Well, yeah, you're doing the 76 serial, though. I don't know anything before 2005.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think it might have something to do with the little flakes at one point, so we'll call it the flake space.
I'm gonna say it's Morpheus.
I'm gonna go with Neo.
The Matrix.
Oh, come on! Michelle and I get half points?
No,
No, he gave us the hint for that, Brian.
I give you the hint. Come on, guys.
Oh, good point. Good point.
First of all, I want to say that when you said it the last time, I thought you meant your last question, like the last one you're going to ask, they were going to be related. I was like, oh, this is future knowledge. This one's going to have to do with the last question on the quiz.
Oh.
And not like the previous question.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, cool. I wasn't even connecting it to the one beforehand. I was just going with, okay, I need to remember this for the last question of the quiz.
All right. Who is the author of the book that will be that is being created into a film that will be directed by Spielberg, releasing in 2018?
Clive Ernest?
Clive Ernest is right.
You're actually both wrong. It's Ernest Cline.
Oh, Michelle for the win.
Really?
Yep.
Son of Craig, I didn't know the answer, so I went with yours. I banked all my hopes on you. This is no. Oh man, this is Michelle. Go first next time. Okay.
When was the first VR, AR, or AR, the Sword of Damocles device created? Closest to the year gets the point.
Let's go with 1989.
Okay, I want to go with 88. Just going to
I'm
edge Craig right out
Gonna
there.
go with 1976.
Daisy wins by a healthy margin.
Are you kidding me?
It was I lost my years. 1966.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Boo!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
What
19.
were
Go
they
ahead.
VRing?
So it was it was actually like basically this thing that hung down from a ceiling, and then you stuck your head into the kind of this cone thing, and it was a simple wireframe models that you could fly through.
Wow.
Yeah.
What they didn't tell you, since this was in the 60s, everybody was on, like acid and LSD
Yeah.
and shit,
Made the
and they were just sticking their
experience
head
a
in the
lot cooler.
cones, and they had like actual wire hangers, and they're like, "Whoa!" I'm bringing it closer to people.
I picture it more like a warden at say at a prison facility when he puts you put him in the electric chair. They're like, oh, it's the sword of Damocles. Oh boy, this is VR. Here we go.
All right, and I'll give you a hint before this. Going back even further in time, when was the first reference of virtual reality in any sort of media?
1921.
You meant 1922?
Such a dick.
This is what it's like to go first. It's awful.
1931.
And Michelle wins again.
God dang it, she's just running away with it, folks.
1935. All right, and Michelle, even though you have a commanding lead, you get an option for the bonus question. What was the medium of the media? Like book, TV, movie. That's basically all you got.
Oh, those are my only choices because I wasn't gonna name any of those.
Yeah, we'll go with any of those three.
Okay.
What were you gonna go with?
I was gonna say radio broadcast, but
That's good.
out of those choices, I'm going to go with movie.
Nope.
Does Craig actually know, or did he look it up?
It's a book. No, it's a book.
Did Craig know this?
I do know it. I can't think of the title, but as soon as you say it, I'm gonna go, yeah, I remember this.
It's like Pygamillion Spectacles or something like
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
I'll give Craig a point for that one. Look at
Wait,
that.
because he vaguely said, I think I know what it is.
Because he got a book. Because he said it was a book. I'll give him.
I knew it was a book. I was just trying to remember the time frame, and I remember it was around one of the wars.
Yeah.
I thought I remember it being around one of the wars. Not that this area you couldn't just basically pick somewhere between 1915 and 1945 and be vaguely close, but that's what I thought. It was a little bit more in wartime, but I was a little off there.
All right. Well, yeah, it was in between wars. It's okay. All right.
Because that's when sci-fi books really took off.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. So, and technically it was a short story, and it's on YouTube if you want to read it, to listen to it. Yeah. I actually started it the other day. I haven't finished it yet. Okay. Here's a percentage question. So whoever gets closest wins. And
I wonder what Brian's going to pick.
I know,
it's
right?
going to be +1 or -1 of whatever
I know,
am.
right?
That's what
Can
you
you
think.
C minus 1 or C plus 1
Yes.
equals B.
Okay. An experiment was performed by 16 surgical residents where 8 of them went down through laparoscopic, through virtual reality training. They then came out and actually did gallbladder dissection. What was the percentage that the people who went through the VR did it faster in? Or how much faster? What was the... whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're saying that one group got the VR training and one got nothing?
Yeah. 8 got VR training, 8 didn't. The people
Okay.
with the VR training did it what percentage faster?
I'm going to go with 18% faster.
I'm going to go with 60% faster.
I'm going to say 42% faster.
Now you're making me do some math here. Ooh. You won by, I think, 2%, Michelle. It was 29%.
Oh!
I was between 30 and 60 in my head, and I'm like, go big or go home.
Craig said 18%?
No, he said... Did you say 18%, Craig?
I said 18%.
Oh.
And the answer is 29, then he's closer.
Oh, then you are. I thought you said. I was thinking you said 16. Sorry.
Yay!
Craig Goodwin. I can't do math.
Craig's on the board.
I can't do math. All right, and last question. What ride in Six Flags Magic Mountain allows you to use Samsung Gear VR optionally to experience a fighter jet battling an alien invasion?
Ooh, I know it. I
You
actually
say
know it.
what ride?
Yes, what ride? It is a roller coaster, by the way, Michelle. Just so you know.
I'm going to abstain and wait for Brian to answer first. That's my answer.
No way, man. I've been in that driver's seat one too many times. I'm sitting back here.
Yeah, you're in that driver's seat winning the quiz.
You go right ahead, buddy.
I know it too because this is the YouTube video that I watched.
I already told you my answer. It's called whatever Brian says. I'm abstaining till he says it. That's painted on the side of the cars as they drive by.
Wow.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
Independence Day!
Michelle?
I actually thought it was the Superman roller coaster.
It's actually the New Revolution.
What? It's Independence
Yeah.
Day. Fighter jet versus aliens, Independence Day. It's open shut case.
Do you want me to link you the article? It's called, the ride used to be The Revolution. Now it's the New Revolution.
I mean,
they started this in March 2016. It's not the first one that has this, but it was one that had it was the one that I liked the most.
Well, I mean, like aliens versus a fighter jet. It's kind of straight up Independence Day, and anyone else who does that theming is ripping off Independence Day. So I'm thinking, what, double points?
Thinking no.
Dang it!
I'm saying we take a percentage of his points.
I'm thinking I still
For
win
having
even
the
if he does
gall
that.
to say
for me.
that.
It's
No,
negative
I know,
one
Michelle.
for
I know
that.
you won. Like I've already I'm totally okay with the fact that you won. I just want to make sure to edge Craig out.
Well, Brian, no matter whether I take a point away from you or not for your audacity on that last statement, you still lose. You're still in last place.
I knew it. I knew I was really sucking it up, man.
So Brian has 2 points, Craig has 4, and Michelle wins with a grand total of 6. Probably the lowest scoring quiz we've had. Apparently, I make them too hard.
That was informative.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
was.
big thing.
No, it
about
really was.
It wasn't just stupid hard questions.
No, yeah, I didn't want stupid hard questions. I figured I was actually expecting y'all to get a few more of them. If I was to be honest, not some of the random date stuff and crazy stuff like that.
I probably should have gotten a couple more of those. I have been terrible at keeping up with pop culture and tech in pop culture, or maybe not pop culture, but just new tech news that isn't news, but it's like, hey, this is current stuff, and I've been in my own world.
Yep.
But there is one amazing thing that I do get to sit here and think about every single day for the rest of my life. And Brian, do you know what that is?
What's that, Craig?
Michelle may have won, but you got dunked on!
Navigator nostril. Climb on the magic school bus. Spank a plane